when the hills fell silent in the early 1900s. The peaceful mountain region of Rudraprayag, India, was known for its quiet villages, narrow forest paths, and people who lived simple lives close to nature. But one night, something changed forever. From the dark Himalayan forests emerged a shadow, silent, intelligent, and deadly. It was not a tiger. It was not a lion. It was a leopard, and it would soon become known as the Leopard of Rudraprayag. At first, the disappearances were small and confusing. A shepherd did not return home. A woman vanished while walking a familiar path. There were no loud roars, no warning signs, only silence. Then bodies were found, torn, dragged, and partially eaten. Deep claw marks told a terrifying truth: a leopard had learned to hunt humans. Unlike other predators, this leopard did not attack randomly. It waited, it watched, it learned human routines. It struck at dawn, at dusk, sometimes even in daylight. Villagers began to fear the forest paths they had walked since childhood. Even the sound of wind moving through trees felt like breathing, as if the jungle itself was alive and watching. Soon, panic spread across Rudraprayag and nearby villages. People stopped going out alone. Children were locked indoors. Families slept in groups, clutching weapons that felt useless against an enemy they could not see. At night, villagers claimed they could hear soft footsteps outside their homes, followed by complete silence. The leopard was no longer just an animal. It had become a ghost of the mountains, a hunter that killed without sound and disappeared without a trace. And this was only the beginning of a nightmare that would last 8 long years. The hills had fallen silent, but the fear had just begun. The leopard that learned fear as the months passed. The leopard of Rudraprayag did not slow down, it evolved. It no longer hunted out of hunger alone. It hunted with purpose. The animal began targeting humans deliberately, choosing victims who were alone, weak, or distracted. Early mornings and late evenings became moments of pure terror. A single step outside the house could mean death. Villagers noticed something deeply disturbing. The leopard was not afraid of fire, noise, or crowds. It would enter villages silently, slip between houses, and wait in darkness. Some victims were taken just a few meters from their homes. Others were dragged from doorsteps while family members slept inside, unaware that death had passed so close. The number of deaths began to rise rapidly. By now, dozens had been killed. Panic spread across the region. Entire villages stopped functioning normally. Fields were left unattended. Religious pilgrimages through Rudraprayag were disrupted. People believed the leopard could sense fear, that it watched humans before choosing who would die next. What made the terror worse was the leopard's intelligence. Traps failed. Poisoned bait was ignored. Hunters chased shadows while the leopard struck elsewhere. It seemed to understand human strategy and counter it. Some said the animal had become a demon. Others believed it was cursed, possessed, or protected by dark forces of the mountains. At night, villagers reported hearing soft scratching sounds near doors, followed by silence. No roar, no warning, just absence. When morning came, someone was missing. The leopard had turned the entire region into a living nightmare, where fear replaced sleep and silence mid-death. And yet, the worst was still to come. The leopard was not done learning. The mountain becomes a prison by the 3rd year. Rudraprayag was no longer a living region. It had become a land of waiting. Waiting for daylight, waiting for footsteps, waiting to find out who would disappear next. The leopard's attacks had grown more brutal and more confident. It was no longer cautious, it was dominant. Entire villages began to shut down after sunset. People refused to walk alone even in daylight. Children stopped going to school. Farmers abandoned their fields. Some families locked themselves inside their homes for days. The leopard had not only taken lives, it had destroyed normal life. What made the fear unbearable was the leopard's unpredictability. Sometimes it would strike every night. Sometimes it would disappear for weeks, allowing hope to return only to shatter it again with a sudden killing. This psychological torture broke even the strongest minds. People lived in constant anxiety, imagining claws in every shadow. The death toll continued to rise. By now, over 100 people had been killed. Many victims were taken from village paths, temple roads, or riverbanks. The leopard dragged bodies into ravines and forests, often leaving behind torn clothing as proof of its presence. Hunters tried everything: nets, cages, bait, even religious rituals, but nothing worked. The leopard avoided traps with terrifying precision. It seemed to know where danger was and where safety existed. Some hunters claimed they saw it watching them from rocks above, studying them, learning. Stories spread that the leopard could not be killed, that bullets could not find it, that it was not just flesh and bone, but something darker. People stopped calling it an animal. They called it death itself, moving through the mountains with silent steps. But far away, a man was preparing to face the terror. A hunter who had defeated man-eaters before, a man who understood predators better than fear itself. And soon, the leopard would meet its greatest enemy, the hunter and the shadow, as fear tightened its grip on Rudraprayag. The government finally called upon Jim Corbett, a legendary hunter known for stopping man-eaters. When he arrived in the hills, he did not bring arrogance or noise, he brought patience. He studied the land, the paths, the silence. Corbett understood one truth. This leopard was not wild chaos, it was calculated death. The leopard sensed change. Attacks became rarer but more daring. It seemed to test Corbett, striking close to guarded areas, killing swiftly, and vanishing before anyone could react. It was a message the predator was not afraid. Corbett followed tracks that disappeared on rocks, climbed cliffs where one wrong step meant death, and waited for hours in silence. Several times, he felt watched. Once, he heard a soft sound behind him, too light for wind, too slow for animals. He turned, rifle ready, but saw nothing. The leopard had been there, close, very close. One night, villagers heard screams echo through the valley. By the time help arrived, another life was gone. Corbett examined the scene and realized something chilling. The leopard was hunting for revenge, drawn to humans by familiarity, not hunger. This was no ordinary predator. It had crossed a line long ago. The final hunt began near a narrow forest path where the leopard had killed before. Corbett positioned himself carefully, knowing one mistake would mean death. Hours passed. The forest held its breath. Then movement. A shadow slid through the trees. Eyes reflected faint light. The leopard had come. It crept silently, muscles tense, ready to kill again. In that moment, hunter and man-eater locked into a silent duel, both aware that only one would walk away alive. The trigger was ready. The jungle was silent, and history was about to be written. Death in the shadows, the moment finally arrived when silence broke. The leopard stepped fully into view, its body low, eyes fixed, every movement controlled. Jim Corbett did not rush. He waited, knowing that fear was the leopard's weapon and patience was his own. When the leopard charged, it happened in a blur of muscle and shadow. The rifle fired. The sound echoed through the valley. The leopard collapsed, its reign of terror ending in a single decisive moment. When Corbett approached the body, the truth was revealed. The leopard was old, scarred, and wounded. Broken teeth and injuries had made hunting natural prey difficult, pushing it toward humans slow, predictable, and tragically vulnerable. This was not a monster born of evil, but a predator shaped into a killer by pain and survival. The Leopard of Rudraprayag had killed more than 25 people over 8 long years, making it one of the deadliest man-eaters in history. Villages that had lived in terror slowly returned to life. Children walked paths again. Fires were no longer lit in fear. But the scars remained deep, silent, and unforgettable. Even after death, the legend lived on. Elders told stories of glowing eyes in the dark. Travelers spoke of a presence still watching the forest paths. The mountains returned to silence, but it was a silence filled with memory. The legacy of the Leopard of Rudraprayag is not just one of horror, it is a warning. When humans and nature collide, When pain reshapes instinct, predators can become legends of fear. And sometimes the most terrifying monsters are born not from darkness, but from survival itself.